Everyone has a moment where they realize that what we've been doing hasn't been working, and we have to try to do something completely different. My moment came in 2013 when the only job I could get after having spent a decade in the film industry was cleaning houses via an online app. One day I was cleaning a bathroom and I inhaled too many toxic chemicals and I had to take the day off of work. I went home, lied face down on the couch, and was just sitting there waiting for the air to come back into my lungs. And while I sat there, barely able to breathe, I realized that I had to start doing something new, something that I was even afraid to do. My name is Marius Litica. I'm a filmmaker in Los Angeles. I want to talk about how embracing your identity, all the parts of it, even the ones that you might be afraid of, can actually be a benefit for your creative career. I was born into a mixed household in the suburbs of Illinois. My dad's side of the family is from Latvia, very small little country that is right on the border of Russia. He and his family escaped the invasion during the 40s in order to come to this country. And I got to hear stories about what it was like living back in Latvia, spent time with my grandmother and got immersed in some of the practices and food and culture. My mom's side of the family is the black side of the family. Originally come from Nigeria and also landed in Louisiana. She grew up on the west side of Chicago, and I got to hear stories about what it was like growing up with all their brothers and sisters, what it was like growing up in the 50s and 60s as a black woman, being in a poor neighborhood, and also how my parents met and just how they sort of managed to merge both their culture and all the racial issues in order to create a cohesive family. So when I decided that I was going to become a filmmaker, I wanted to tell these kinds of stories about that mixing of race and culture. However, there was one problem. I graduated film school in the early 2000s, and around that time, the only filmmakers that were telling any sort of stories around race and culture, especially black stories around race and culture, were Spike Lee and John Singleton. So there was this expectation that I was going to tell stories like them. I was going to tell black stories, whatever that means. Actually, we know what that means. Not so much now, but especially back in the early 2000s meant you were talking about racism, poverty, trauma, and usually some sort of like violence in the hood. None of which was my personal experience. So I had no frame of reference in order to tell the kinds of stories that was expected of me. I wanted to tell stories about how unique the mixed experience was, but I was entering into an industry that had no frame of reference for what the mixed experience actually is. Hollywood kind of thinks of mixed people as you are the race of whatever it is you look like, so you should just tell stories that focus around that and not really stories around the merging of both of them. It's something that either is talked about ad nauseum. If you're in a mixed family, that's pretty much all you talk about is race and culture, or you don't talk about it at all. So I was kind of left in this no man's land where I didn't know where I was going to fit in, and I was kind of forced to choose a side. My decision in order to navigate that was to do pretty much absolutely nothing. I graduated film school and just started working lots of different odd jobs. I sometimes was a cameraman, sometimes I was a lighting person, sometimes I would do sound. And then when I moved to Los Angeles, I was all over the place. I had a bunch of different varying kind of skills, but none of them really translated into the kind of work that I wanted to make. And on top of that, I had made one film out of film school, and I had been trying to find somebody who would recognize the kind of stories that I wanted to make and then pay for them. And so I kind of did the same thing that I did in Chicago and Los Angeles, lots of different odd jobs, being whoever it was that they would pay me to be, until eventually all of those odd jobs went away because I had no specialty. I found myself on the couch, struggling to breathe, trying to figure out where everything went wrong. I had barely any money, no body of work, no job, no direction. And I figured I might as well just start creating something, because I couldn't imagine that life could really get any worse. But I also knew that I had to take a different approach into how I created work. The first thing that I did was start to build habits. My creative process, to be nice about it, was inconsistent. I would wait to get inspired, and then I would start writing something, and then maybe I would finish it, but then I would stop. I would try and see who I could take it to, who would help get it made. I didn't really want to do the work myself, and I didn't really have a method of staying in that creative mindset every single day. I knew that if I wanted to make any sort of impact, I had to go from being a haphazard creative to a habitual one. So the first thing I did was start to get organized. I knew I had a lot of ideas, but I didn't really have a system on how to keep track of them. I would just write them down in a journal somewhere, write down another idea in another journal, so I just had a giant stack of journals with a bunch of different ideas. So I knew that I had to kind of go back to square one and find a system where I could store all of my ideas, write down new ones, and be able to reference them on command without any problem at all. And my method for doing this, I have what's called an idea board. I have a list of ideas just in a sheet where it tells me what the name of it is, what it's about, what it's supposed to be, and what the status of it is. This way I can keep track of everything and I can realize, okay, I'm gonna work on this for this chunk of time, get this finished, and then move on to the next thing. But the main benefit of doing this is that I have a system. I know what it is I'm gonna work on each day, and I have a project that I'm going to see to completion. Sometimes I may go back and forth in between projects, but I can prioritize which one is more important than the other one, and it becomes a way of kickstarting my creativity each day because I know what it is that I'm trying to accomplish, which helped me create just a few small short films, which helped me start to get work. I started working as a producer and as an editor, and that helped me create even more films. It started getting the ball rolling. I was able to start earning a living in the industry that I had struggled to find my foot in for over a decade. I wasn't cleaning houses anymore. My lungs were happy. I was starting to get happy. I was building a portfolio and a body of work. However, this is when I ran into the next problem. The work that I had made, while it looked good, I wasn't able to stand out. I was just one of several filmmakers that were up and coming here in Los Angeles, all trying to find the next great big idea that will launch their careers. And the reason for this is because I had neglected a key step, and that step is to find your niche. For years, I had been making work that looked nice, but didn't really have a place to fit. And I remember having a phone conversation with a friend of mine who works in marketing and branding specifically for people in the entertainment industry. This was the first time that I'd met her, and she asked me, tell me about who you are and what kind of stuff that you make. And I kind of respond with answers like, I make stuff that looks really good. I can write, I can direct, I can edit. I listed all the different skills that I learned making my portfolio of work. And there was kind of this awkward pause, and she said, that's cool, but that's not really marketable. After being taken aback for a bit, because I thought that my job as a filmmaker was just to make cool stuff with great ideas, I kind of dug in a little bit more and asked her what that meant, and she said that I have to find my niche. It wasn't until a couple of years after that I really realized what it is that she was saying. You'll hear a lot of people online say to find your niche, but I think that it goes deeper than that. I think finding your niche is really about finding your purpose. You need to find the reason why it is you make the work that you make. And the reason is because if art is a manual for life, then you need to figure out how can your experiences and the things that you've been through be of benefit for somebody else? What kind of instruction can you give? And the simplest way to find that out is to think about what are the instructions and the things that I wish I had when I was younger. Going back to when I was a kid, I wish that there were more mixed people on television. I wish that there were more people who looked like me, maybe had a family similar to mine that I could reference to. So what I decided is that I would make the work that I wish I had when I was a child. But in order to do that, I realized that I had to put my work out there in a different way. As a filmmaker in the industry, you are conditioned that the only way you should be sharing your work is by entering it into film festivals. You have to find the right idea that gets into the right film festival where you will meet the right person who will essentially give you a giant lottery ticket with lots of money to pay for all of your work, and all you have to do is make films, think of creative ideas, and write stuff. Maybe you'll go promote a couple of things. However, film festivals are not the only way that you can get your work out there. Film festivals have their own special place in the market, but they're their own kind of special thing, and I will dive into that subject in a later video. Even as a filmmaker, I had neglected the other ways that I could share my work. I could write and start a blog, YouTube, where we are here now to share my thoughts and ideas. I could make social media posts. We all know the downside of social media is that it can be a toxic place where lots of people can just spew hatred at each other. However, I've also found that it's a place where I can meet people with a similar upbringing and experience, or people who are just interested in it, and we could build a rapport and build a dialogue. It's a way to build a community, so why would I ignore that? We think that if we don't share our work in the right way, that we're going to miss out on a great opportunity. But if the goal of storytelling is to communicate our experiences with the greater world, then why would we not share it in any avenue that is possible? Human beings can't predict the future, but we do have the ability to learn from the past. So I'd like to give this advice that took me 20 years to realize. It's the biggest cliche in the world, but if you have a creative idea or a calling, just start. Whatever it is, just start making it. And the fact that you made it will put you ahead of 99% of the people who have just thought about it. It's not going to be perfect, but at least you'll have something. Take that, put it out into the world, and then just keep going. Please give me a like, subscribe, leave me a comment, let me know if this resonated with you and if there's anything else that you'd like me to talk about in the future. Again, if you want the idea board, I'll have a link for it in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.